Good evening. This is the Athens City Shade Tree Commission meeting for May 9th, 2019. We have no Title 33 or Title 37 issues. I don't have a report from Ron Lucas, and so what I'm going to do is go straight to an item that we're going to deal with under Other, and that concerns a potential meeting with the Mayor to discuss a number of topics. With your packet, there's a page in there. It says talking points with the Mayor. I've listed, I just jotted some things down, but I'd like some help in sort of making sure that I've got all the talking points that people are interested in, me discussing with the Mayor. My plan is that I'll get our council member, Peter Cotis, to help set up a meeting with the Mayor, and hopefully Peter can come with me, and I would like to have other tree commissioners if possible, if they're available. Clearly, if we get three or more, it'll have to be an official meeting, but we'll deal with that when we get to that point, if there are that many people interested. What I've heard over time is that we've got sort of a number of issues that keep on cropping up. Some of which could be solved by process changes, some of which could be dealt with by the city adopting some sort of planning process for landscaping in the city, and in particular tree planting. One of the big issues that I've had over the years is that in Title 33 we are supposed to be consulted when the city is doing things with trees, and we rarely are. Now, obviously consultation doesn't mean that we have to give them permission to do anything, but it would be useful, I think, sometimes for the Tree Commission to be brought in earlier in some of these larger projects to see if it's possible to retain trees rather than deal with replacing trees. Because as we all know, a tree takes at least 20 or 30 years to become a substantial source of shade. And if we've already got a mature tree in place, we'd much rather keep that tree there than just have a small replacement provided later for it. The other issue that I know we've had some difficulty with is enforcement of Title 37. We're going to try and use my calendar to help us follow up on plans that are approved, but maybe the Mayor has got some other ideas about how other city resources can be used to help us with code enforcement in that regard. The other one I want to talk to him about is the process for Title 41. Title 41 is a process that takes place when a developer is doing a development of a certain size, and I forget what the threshold is, but it isn't very big. And as part of that process, the Tree Commission, ahead of the starting time, or the time at which the process for Title 41 starts, the Tree Commission is supposed to have given approval of the landscape plans. But rarely do we get adequate planning information at that stage to make that possible. And so I think that there may need to be some changes in Title 41 to make it easier for us to get to a point with a developer where they've got a plan that is something that we can look at and that hopefully we can then approve. But I don't think the process is working well at the moment. So those are some of the issues that I think we've got there. What are other issues that people would like us to...
Down to the last one, for instance.
Well, that was me sort of trying to encompass the whole thing, but
yeah,
that is
that's really the key. I mean,
yes,
the enforcement.
With
how I think
either we're perceived as getting in the way of progress, or as not important.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one or the other, or maybe both. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think that needs to be brought out in the open. I mean, that feeling is not maybe not known by the mayor or the city council.
But we have a long history of trying to work with people, and we had the whole tree banking scheme was brought, was put in place, not enacted, but so we've done a lot of things to try to make it possible. Unfortunately, there seems to be the philosophy that to make the plans and then when they say there's no room for trees, then then we accommodate that. So sometimes there really isn't any room for trees, but
I think if the city really feels that this is legislation that needs to be a part of our community, not just more than just getting the name Tree City USA or whatever it might be. If they think if the administration feels that it's important to that we continue to add trees and replace trees, then the city needs to do that, wholeheartedly on their own with their own projects, if they're going to expect the private sector to do that. And I think,
and by giving us a budget.
Well, I think looking at the pool, it's my understanding now, and maybe this group was consulted, but
no,
I mean they started cutting trees down in there, and they had been working on planning for that for a year, but they never came to this group to say, this is what we're going to do, and this is why we have to do some of these things, and to bring us into the loop, and then and if we're going to be commissioners here, I think as you had indicated, Nancy, a lot of people perceive us as getting in the way of progress. I don't. That doesn't bother me, because I feel like what we're here to do is to review plans based on legislation this community felt like they needed. But I would like to feel like I'm consulted on these things in advance, so that that we can work with developers. So I just feel like if it's important to the city to maintain its tree canopy and maybe grow its tree canopy, then when it has opportunities to do that on projects that they're dealing with, they should be in it 100%, and that will send the right kinds of signals to the private sector.
Yeah. Yes,
That's a good point.
Also, what do you guys think about our having our own budget, or having some sort of budget that would allow us to plan? To say this is where we think trees need to, where there's a gap in the canopy, or there's a place or there's disease that's wiped out a certain area or something like that.
Well, that is where I think we need a long-term plan, because
I
it's the same with the America in Bloom thing. I don't think sort of picking odd little projects is the way to do it. You've got to have a long-term plan to be able to have planters installed, other things installed that will enable you to do the sort of plantings that you'd like to do around such a scheme. And that really needs the city to have us help them develop the plan. Yes, I don't think this group necessarily needs any sort of budget authority. I think it just needs to make sure that the city has a plan in place and executes the plan.
But if the plan is unrealistic, that would be frustrating again for us.
Oh, yes.
If we knew what kind of parameters there were in terms of money or cost, that would be helpful.
There's a budget for purchasing a certain number of trees every year, isn't there? Isn't that a line item?
No.
Oh.
No, there is money usually left at the end of the year for planting of trees.
Oh, okay.
But Ron has a budget that I believe is used up mainly for tree removal and pruning through the year, with some planting of trees. And his philosophy is we should at least try and plant as many trees as he's removed, had to remove, which I think is a good baseline. But again, that's not really contained in any sort of planning document. I think that should be stated as a minimum for the plan, and then we need to be figuring out where we're going after that, because if we go back to comprehensive plans, the one that was developed in, I think, in the year 2000, aimed to get tree coverage increased in the city. And, we should be measuring that. Again, that should be part of the structure that it was within the city. And then the other piece is some sort of investment plan as to how we get there in terms of tree coverage for the public areas.
And the city does have a pruning plan. They do different parts of the city. At least we've heard about that, but they don't have a more comprehensive
Again, I don't
plan
think it's.
for.
I haven't seen a document there's not a document you can go to and say yes, in 2021 they're going to be doing this area.
If
This
they're,
Right.
if they're doing it with trees, they should certainly include us in seeing it.
Ron routinely does tell us when this is going on.
And which part of town, yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the things we have learned going to Tree City USA, that there are some cities in which there is no money in the budget for pruning, removal, or planting trees. So that was my point, that someone has some money.
Yeah,
Ron
has the money to do the removals, and then there's money usually left at the end of the year for additional replacement trees. But we don't have any control over that spending.
I mean, the planning is more than just whatever's left over.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I agree. But there needs to be, I think, support from within the city.
Where do you think we could start with that? I mean, where would we start with it?
We start with the mayor.
Absolutely. You find out if he's committed to trying to do this.
Because this is going to be an administrative task for the city to do. And he's the head of the city administration. And if the council person recognises there are things that they need to do to help convince the mayor that this is a good idea, then, having the council person there helping with this, I think, is important.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Emily, have you got comments?
No.
Okay. Jim?
I was going to ask kind of a history. Have we always been out of the loop, this commission, or has it been a gradual erosion of our participation?
I think it's just intermittent, the information from my perspective that comes in.
We used to have plans almost every meeting, or frequent meetings. We would come with plans, and they would, in those days we would sometimes meet to discuss them ahead of time and look at them, and so I feel like it's really diminished.
In terms of private plans, yes, the numbers have gone down. They've started to come back up again. But it certainly was a time prior to 2008 when we would routinely have at least one plan on the docket
But it's a very good point. They do not come to us and say at all, like the trees on West Union. And I thought, why did they put that tree in? It's sort of like we weren't, as far as I know, we weren't asked for our advice. And that's one of the things we have is information about suitable trees. So.
Yeah.
So is it just institutional memory disappearing, or a change in personnel? Or?
I think.
Well, in terms of the city consulting us, that's always been a challenge. I've been involved with at least 3 different service safety directors, and I think I haven't had much contact with Andy Stone, so I can't really speak about him, but certainly Paula Mosley was much more appreciative of what we did than her predecessor. However, her predecessor did tend to involve us more in consultation on the plans. Now, one of his views was, well, we've got this bike path. We ought to just clear the sides of trees and start again. And the people who, like me, who walked along there said, no, we're going to keep everything we can along here, because there's not only are there trees there, but there's wildlife using it, and so on. And so there's existing shade that we have immediately along that bike path. And we did agree that certain areas would have to be cleared because of the utility installations that were going on, particularly around Walmart and so on. But for the rest of it, we tried to retain as many trees as we could. And so in that regard, I think even though he was not the most tree-friendly person, he certainly did consult more than I think the administration did when Paula Mosley was the service safety director. We've got little experience with him, so we have little experience so far. We haven't been consulted, but he hasn't been service safety director for very long.
And
so.
he hasn't been here.
Well, Andy Stone wouldn't have. Paula Mosley didn't know. The representative is Ron Lucas. Ron is the assistant service safety director.
Oh.
And so Ron takes action on behalf of the service safety director quite often. So when it comes to a tree permit, which again I think is a process that should be better documented within the city, he will consult sometimes with me or bring the request generally to the tree commission.
To ask the mayor for Ron to attend more frequently?
Well, that's difficult because we have meetings in the evenings, and I'm aware that you don't want to try and force your employees to have to attend evening meetings. So I can understand why Ron isn't here all the time for those meetings.
Didn't we try afternoon meetings for that reason, and it didn't work out satisfactorily?
No. But I mean, the consultation doesn't necessarily require a person to be here, but I think it does require them to send information to me as the chair to distribute to you, so that we can see what the decisions are. The best I ever got with the swimming pool was one day I happened to be in the office downstairs, and Paula Mosley was there, and I said, "Can I see the plans for the swimming pool?" And yes, I was shown the plans for the swimming pool, but I never got access. She was supposed to send me an electronic copy that I could then distribute to the rest of you, but I never got that.
Yeah, that would have helped.
But even by then it was too late to save the trees. The trees were cut down remarkably quickly.
Yeah,
on that job.
But we could have perhaps suggested some different choices for trees there.
Oh, certainly, yeah. We might have done.
Which would provide shade.
Yeah. Well, and the other issue is that I think I would have encouraged them to try and retain some of the trees that were there.
Exactly.
Even if it meant that they did die within a year or so, because they hadn't. I don't think there was that much space to actually protect them. You'd like them to be protected out to the drip line, but that isn't always possible on a construction site. And if you have vehicles driving over the roots,
Well, the
then
good thing was they did save the ones along the edge.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There were some trees that were saved, but it was the parking lot that I think there was particularly
the bald cypress
disappointing. The bald cypress, and I think there was an oak off to one side as well that went.
What are these little things?
I've no idea. Juniper, maybe.
Weird. But this is the first.
Well, I think a meeting with the mayor would be wonderful. I think he's a really an honest guy, and and if he appreciates what we're doing and is engaged, and I think he'll follow through and try to make some improvements and things. I think he will do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So I will proceed with Peter to try and set up a meeting with the mayor. Once we have the time, I'll try and see if we can invite some other commissioners.
Yeah, you'll keep us all informed.
Oh yeah,
because I'd like to attend if I'm available.
Yeah, and as I say, if we get more than three or more of us there, we'll have to just declare it a public meeting and proceed from that point onwards.
You have to wait a minute.
Yes, well that's all right. I can do that. Yeah. Okay, very good. I want to thank, was it Nancy or Lee who went to the...
we both went.
Oh, you both went? Okay, yeah. Well, I want to thank both of you for going to the Tree City USA celebrations, where we got our 29th year recognition. So that means this year will be our 30th year.
Yes,
that's a big one.
That was mentioned.
Yeah, I think we're the oldest, aren't we?
What?
Weren't we the oldest one there?
Where were we? I don't know.
29 years, I think, is the
Maybe.
Yeah, I believe we were one of the first in the state to be involved in this. Yes.
We probably were the oldest ones then, Nancy.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I think the Tree Commission was founded round about that time, because I think one of the considerations for this is you have to have an active tree commission, which is why we have our meetings once a month.
Oh, okay.
And we
10
spend
times a year. 10, right?
10, I think Ron told me once it was 10 times a year that we have to meet for this. Yes.
David, have you been on this commission for 30 years?
No.
No.
I've been on for 20.
20, wow.
Yeah, I might have been on
Impressive.
for 20 as well, because there was a big bust-up over not enforcement, and a whole bunch of commissioners resigned, including my wife, and I got volunteered. Alvy McWilliams, I think, was the one who maintained continuity. She decided that somebody needed to stay, and so she stayed, and she was the chair for many years. I became chair after her when she stepped down.
And we appreciate it, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, is there any other business people want to discuss before we get to the minutes of the last meeting? Okay, in the minutes of the last meeting, what I did, we had some questions about the steak and shake, and I've misspelled steak on there. I've got steak as in put a steak through the heart. No. Okay. I will correct that on the final version before I send it to...
You've got to correct 2 lines down, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting, yeah. There was a question about that, and after the meeting, as it says here, I did forward a copy of the minutes of July 2018, and a copy is will be attached to this version as well. Because in there is a copy of the plan that they're supposed to be enforcing for us for planting around there. And this was an example where under Title 41 the development was small enough not to trigger a Title 41 process, and so the code director looked at the plan and said it looked to him as if it complied. I believe he did tell me at some point what he'd done, and then I asked him to give me a copy of the plan so that we could then include it in the minutes of our meetings, because as we learned from the law director, there is no other resource we've got other than our own minutes to record what these plans are.
Right.
And so that's why that plan appeared in the minutes of the July 2018 meeting, and they're now going to be included in the minutes of the April 11, 2019 meeting again. In addition, there is a document which I think some of you have a hard copy of, this one here, describing what happened at a meeting between myself, Jeff Wood, Ron Lucas, Lance Allison, who's the acting code director, regarding the production of a final plan for the Don Wood site at the end of East State Street. And I would encourage you, if you can, to go down there and have a look and see what the site looks like, because it is a very large site. And as of today, we are still waiting to see the final plan. Where's what?
Oh, I thought it was in the minutes.
Well, it'll be in the final minutes, but I didn't print off copies. I was saving paper. So that is what I've got. One copy that the people on the right were looking at, and this is the same document that I provided at the last meeting as well, and it will be going into the minutes of this of the meeting of April 11th. So it'll all be in there. Are there any other questions, discussion to be had about the minutes?
Not about the minutes, but another bit from the Tree City USA when we finish.
Okay. So. Okay.
Well, then I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you, John.
I'll second that.
Thank you, David. Any objection to approving the minutes of the last meeting? Hearing none, we have minutes of our last meeting. I will make that small correction to the minutes before I submit them. You said you've got one more item from Tree City USA?
Yes, one of the things that they had there, one of the speakers was a representative from America in Bloom. And that the project Athens in Bloom is that several people in the community are working on, and Ron Lucas is sort of directing that effort. And the emphasis that we were given, there's a big emphasis on trees, tree canopy, maintenance of trees. It's better to have maybe fewer trees, better, well-maintained, than to have a lot of trees planted, and having a plan and all of that, which I went to one Athens in Bloom meeting, and the focus was really more on flowers, which is great, but I don't know that there was an appreciation, which I gained from that presentation, how important trees are to that organization, because I know Athens would like to do better in their score. The 2 judges come around. Are you all familiar that 2 judges will come? We now know they'll be here in July.
Okay.
They're coming in July, right?
Yeah.
And what I would say in that regard is that it may not be very obvious, and perhaps we need to make this more obvious, but there are standards that we try and maintain for planting in public spaces. For instance, we try and maintain a 30-foot separation between large shade trees on streets and so on, to avoid those particular issues of getting too many trees too close together. And so it's already built into our legislation that we will do this. And obviously within the Title 37, that's also something that's built into Title 37. We try and spread the trees out.
Yeah, I think they're also talking about, like lifting, making sure the lower branches get taken care of.
Crown lifting,
And the kind of thing that would be in a plan, that every third year you prune, or every year you prune a certain section of the city.
Yeah, we've got a number of trees now that have been planted. We were just saying that we've been around for 30 years as a tree commission. We've certainly got trees in the last 15 to 20 years that could do with some pruning, because they've got split crotches where you need to take out one of the leaders. We've got lower branches that need to be removed, so we can crown lift trees and bring them up higher, and encourage then more clearance underneath to make it easier for people to see.
Exactly.
And so all this should be as part of a plan.
Yes.
I think that should be done regularly.
Yes.
As part of the maintenance. Are we doing that?
We're not, no. And that, again, should be part of the planning of the whole process.
And that will improve our score.
Yes, I know it will.
And the whole point, American Bloom, was to improve communities and bring organizations within the community together, working together, instead of having silos of efforts.
Yeah, okay.
Are there many organizations other than this one that is concerned with such things?
Well, yeah, we've got the Athens Garden Club, which does things. We've got Project Plant, which does things. We've got, we've got a number of different. We've got the Emeritide Park people. We've got what?
Community foods initiatives. With
yes, they do things. They have an orchard. We've got
a
lot of.
What is that group that planted in the cemetery?
What?
What is the group that's been planting in the cemetery? Do they have a name?
Oh, yeah, what group? I've forgotten what group that is that put the trees at the West Union Cemetery.
He came to meet with us once. Were you guys here? Do you remember?
I think I remember, but I don't.
He had an odd name, like Attila the Hun or something. Yeah.
No, well, there's Attila, who is
he has a landscape business, but he also does a lot of volunteer planting.
I think that's it.
Yeah. I don't think it's actually a public group like Project Plant or
he
anything
said a
like
group
that.
had gotten together and decided they wanted to do something.
Yeah.
So they decided to plant trees in the cemetery.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to adjourn this meeting.
Okay.
Are we all happy about that? Good.
Yeah.
We are adjourned until our next meeting, which is due to occur on June 13th, 7 p.m. in the council chamber.
Thanks for the